I wish I could comment on this right now, but it happened like 4 days ago. Rest assured, we are not counting anything down. If I'm confusing anybody just with my mere existence, I feel like I was just saying something and then it just went right out the window. That's just kind of the way I do things, and that's just too goddamn bad. It's like C+ average at best, which is apparently still better than most of the people in the country right now. He might be a little sociopath, but like, who isn't these days? I've said so. Let it be known that I have said so.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Hard Rock Lunchbox and, of course, the Top 20. It is April 11th, 2024. I don't know if that's significant to anybody, but we are here and we have made it thusly. I started to laugh a little bit when I said welcome to the Top 20. I had a notification this morning from Spotify podcasts, which, I mean, I knew the box was on and the Top 20 is on, but like, it's not like it's my primary Spotify interest. So I usually, it's weird because for the band I focus on, like all Revel 9 stuff, I focus on Spotify pretty heavily. But for the Top 20, I focus on the Stranger Hit TV and the video version of the podcast to see who's listening and watching. And now with the box itself, and even the Top 20 with the shorts, like that's something that's primarily YouTube. And I actually almost forgot, I guess. I mean, I don't know if forgot is the right word, but like, it was like, oh yeah, that exists there too. So like, I didn't forget about it. It just doesn't matter to me. But I got a notification that somebody had like responded to a question I posted, and I was like, nope. But apparently what Spotify is doing now is they automatically post a question, a Q&A with your show. It's like, what do you think of today's show? And just in case this dude listens again, I tried to figure out how to respond to him, but I don't. He made a comment about how, like, I don't understand, like, if this is the Top 20, how come it's not, like, talking about, like, the Billboard Top 20? Like, I want to be very clear, like, the Top 20, the reason it's called the Top 20 is kind of, like, very tongue-in-cheek. It's like, people do countdowns all the time. Top 5, Top 10, Top 20, whatever. This isn't that at all. It never was that. The Top 20 was really the first 20 minutes of the Hard Rock Lunchbox, and we just thought it would be clever to call it the Top 20. So if I'm confusing anybody just with my mere existence, like, let me be the first and probably second through last to apologize. It wasn't my intention. It seemed funny in my head at the time, and now it's kind of too late to do anything about it. So if you're listening to the Top 20, rest assured we are not counting anything down, and we are not reviewing any other Top 20s. What we're doing is roughly the first 20 minutes of the Hard Rock Lunchbox. If you want to listen to the whole Hard Rock Lunchbox, you can do that. I will say that since we've changed formats and really dedicated the first hour to local music which I have rights to play and replay, the Hard Rock Lunchbox podcast or replay podcast, it's way better, right? It's way better because you get a bunch of music. You basically get the first hour of the show complete, like with music, with commentary, and all that other stuff. And then the second hour really only drops off into songs that I have the rights to play, which is usually the weekly Craving of the Week, plus anything I play from like Revel 9 or other local bands if I just slip them into the last half hour or last hour of the show. But it's a way better listen. So it gives you like the first hour. It's pretty much exactly what you hear here. So if you ever miss this show, like live, that is, the first hour will be almost exactly what that is. Just maybe even just a cleaner edit. I don't really know. I think it's more fun to be here live. I kind of always did. I love whenever I'm watching something that's live and I can just be part of the conversation really quick. Because I know I listen to a lot of stuff that's I don't listen to a lot of stuff at all, but of the stuff I listen to, a big proportion of it is pre-recorded. Certainly the podcast I listen to, and then of course, like everything, Bacon's my podcast does. So I just end up commenting on stuff, but it's not in real time where it would be like a little bit more effective, especially when they're talking about stuff that I've talked about or stuff that I know a good deal about, especially like when it comes to like local stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I wish I could comment on this right now, but it happened like 4 days ago, so. First I should get that pesky time machine and then go on from there. Yeah, kind of in a little bit of a lower state today, so I probably won't go as long as I normally do, although I don't know what that actually means. I do have a couple things to talk about. We should get to some light housekeeping. So the new Top 20 is out, of course. It's Thursday, so it comes out at noon. It's the No Seats at the Bar. It's kind of where I talk about our show up at Lucy's at Pleasantville. I also talk about, people, I talk about like typos and Eminem and speaking and like how it's, when you're kind of running without a script and you're just, off the top of your head and you're trying to not sound like an idiot, you really do give some thought to what you're trying to say. And I wish half the country would do a little bit better of that right now instead of giving me a hard time for stumbling over the words that I'm trying to say when I'm trying to make sure that I'm saying something correct. So that's out. In Rebel 9 news, the unplugged video of Aaliyah from the Bimpy 2023 Awards comes out today at 2 o'clock. If you're interested in just seeing that, hop up on the Rebel 9 page at YouTube, which is youtube.com/Rebel9Band. You can check that out. You can actually check it out. It's a scheduled premiere, so if you want to have the notify me thing, it'll notify you when it's up. And also a week from today at 2 p.m., right after this show, we'll release the official lyric video for Aaliyah. We're going to release that just ahead of our show at Mr. Beery's on Friday with Ex-Sovereign, Terriginous, and I'm drawing a blank on the last band. I'm sorry about that. I did not mean to do that. Still have no more real details on that show other than the fact that we are third of 4, so we're probably somewhere between the 10:30 and midnight hour. If you want to come on down and check it out, it's going to be a pretty prog-heavy night, so if you don't like heavier music, you might want to sit that one out until Shakers. And I'm really not turning anybody away. I would love to see anybody and everyone who wants to come see Rebel 9 play. I believe in truth in advertising, and that's what you're going to expect. I know a lot of people expect us to play with bands that they're more familiar with, and that's fine and that's fair, but as I've been saying for the past year, since that doesn't seem to be a thing that's being reciprocated at all, like I kind of am sort of stepping out of that area to play with other bands that actually want to play with us. So we're just working on that sort of path right now. But we'll be back at Shakers, and and that's we'll be back and we'll be at Shakers at the end of May, and that'll be more of a show that I think people are more accustomed to at Rebel 9. So that's cool. I'm not making any excuses. I'm really honestly just trying to be as upfront about those things as possible because I think that's probably important to anybody that's coming to listen. So I've done my checklist, so I feel like I'm good to go here. There are people... oh, thank you. I do appreciate that. We did go over the set list that we think we're going to do. We have not decided on a cover if we're definitely going to do a cover, but it does look very much like the last set. Very similar to the last set that we just did up at Lucy's, and there's a really good reason from that, aside from the fact that like very few people that know us actually saw us at Lucy's, so why not? And that's the lazy part talking, but like also there really is a reason for it, right? So we've released 3 new songs off the new batch, 3 of 4. The 4th one may or may not come out right before the Shaker show. I'm actually waiting on confirmation of a June show. If we do have this June 21st-ish show, the last of those 4 singles will come out right before that. That song is called Inside. It is a baller, and I've completely forgotten all about it. I like spacing them out. There's a bunch of reasons for that, and maybe I'll even get into that today if I feel like it, or if I feel like I have the time. But I feel like I was just saying something, and then it just went right out the window. Probably where it belongs, to be perfectly honest. The set. Right, so we have 3 songs that are out. We have Side Out Into the Afternoon, and we have Aaliyah. Those 3 are our brand new singles. I think it's super important to have those in every current set for the next year, because that is literally what we're promoting, right? We have another 3 songs that have not been recorded yet. We have End Us All, we have Run Through Me, and we have It's All Right. Those 3 songs we are starting to record in the second week of May. We're heading back to work with Caggiano, and so I expect nothing other than what we just got out of the last bash. But those 3 songs are what we've been working on in pre-production, so they are the tightest songs we've got in the entire set. Also, I need to keep them that way, so we need to rehearse them every single time we practice until we actually record the drums, which, like I said, will be in the second week of May, so it just makes sense to also have them in the set here. We don't have to, but I think it's a good test, and I will tell you that once we start recording them, we won't be playing them anymore live. Like I did that with the last batch. I'm not entirely sure what that cutoff is. I don't know if it'll actually be that May thing, but it might be. But it probably will be the last time. It'll either be this time or it'll be the Shaker Show will be the last time you hear any of those 3 songs until they actually get released, probably towards the end of the year, if not 2025. So that's just kind of the way I do things, and that's just too goddamn bad. So anyway, that brings us to 6 songs right away. We're going to do Keep You Near because we've got a brand new bunch of people that are going to be in the audience, and Keep You Near seems to be a big song for people like that. So you can fully expect that. And then we're going to dribble in a couple other songs, including maybe a cover, and then we basically get right to where we were. So a very similar set to Lucy's. So if you were at Lucy's, it's probably going to be the same set. I can't imagine anybody from Lucy's has come down to see us. That would be awesome if they did. And you are more than welcome. Beery's is a great place to see a show. So that's the deal. So that's what you can expect. Some great old Revel 9. We will probably switch it up a bunch for May, but again, I don't know for sure. So I talked about the Unplugged video, the lyric video, Mr. Beery's, Shakers. I think we're good. Discussions and Drinks on Bacon's My Podcast this week. Looks like they go remote. Mike is in Miami, and Jimmy picks his Grubhub poison. I got to talk to Jimmy about the Grubhub stuff. If you did not get a chance to watch the John Oliver last week, tonight about food apps, you really ought to. Like, I do not do Grubhub or Uber Eats or any of that shit. I just never have. And now I'm really not going to. Like, I never have before because I didn't. And I just felt weird about having somebody go get my food when I should go get my food. But now I'm absolutely not. When I see how bad it is, what the industry is doing to everybody is just like, I don't want to be any part of it. So I strongly urge you to check it out. I'm sure you can see it on YouTube, but it's on Max if you have it. It's last week tonight. It's the food app, whatever. Really, really well done, typical John Oliver style. So I would say I can get Jimmy to do it, to get off Grubhub, but probably not. So probably not going to waste my time. So, I did not release, I don't think, any shorts from the last batch, from the last show. So I don't have anything to report on that front. It was going to be interesting because I was talking mostly about bands and not about politics, and I want to see like kind of what the ratios of views and stuff are based on those hashtags. So I will probably do that this weekend when I actually have a chance to take a breather, and I'll let you know if you're interested in that sort of thing. I think the stats on that kind of stuff are fascinating, but I'm a huge math nerd, so who knows. I don't have anything to say on that, but there were a couple things that happened this week, and I actually did some homework. Barely homework. It's like C+ average at best, which is apparently still better than most of the people in the country right now. Just saying. So first of all, goodbye to OJ. I mean, I liked OJ in the Hertz commercials. I thought he was good in Naked Gun shows. I didn't like him so much when he killed his ex-wife. I'm not a huge fan. But he died today. Like, I don't know what happened. I just saw that he died. So goodbye, OJ, I suppose. And maybe I'll have more on that in the coming weeks. I did have 2 things I wanted to talk about quickly, and I will keep an eye on the time so I don't just blow past things. So the first of which is James and Jennifer Crumbleys. They're the first people, as far as we can tell, the first people in the United States to be charged with a crime that their son did. This is from NPR. James and Jennifer Crumbleys, whose son murdered 4 classmates and shot 7 other people at Oxford High School in 2021, were each sentenced Tuesday in a Pontiac, Michigan courtroom to between 10 and 15 years in prison. Both Crumbleys were found guilty in separate trials on 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Each of those charges carried a maximum penalty of 15 years, and the sentences to be served concurrently. So it's pretty bananas that basically somebody else is getting in trouble for something somebody else did, right? That sort of defies kind of what we think of and how we think things work. I will say that the father, while being quite defiant in jail with the prosecutor, on recorded lines, by the way, did say in court, I am sorry for your loss as a result of what my son did, he said. I cannot express how much I wish that I had known what was going on with him or what was going to happen, because I absolutely would have done a lot of things differently. The reason I highlighted that is because the mom actually said in court she can't think, from the stand, she can't think of anything she would have done differently. Now, I don't know if that's just bad legal advice, so you're not looking at culpability, but, like, it's one or the other, man. She actually said in a statement after her conviction, we, quote, we weren't perfect, but we loved our son and we loved each other tremendously. Quote, this could be any parent up here in my shoes. That's a load of shit, just for starters. This could be any parent up here in my shoes. Ethan could be your child, could be your grandchild, your niece, your nephew, your brother, your sister. Your child can make the fatal decision, not just with a gun, but a knife, a vehicle, intentionally or unintentionally. Okay, so yes, I agree with it could be your grandchild, your niece, your nephew, your brother, your sister, because you don't actually have influence and control over those. Like, there is something about parental responsibility. It's something I've been complaining about in my personal life for years. And it's also something that I've been making fun of now for a long time in Florida, because those parents seem to want all the responsibility over their kids, especially when it comes to sex education, and no responsibility when their kids turn out to be assholes and pieces of shit, which I think, you know, those people that are taking that big of a stand against their school probably are. As somebody that has taken a very large stand against their public school, but mine was more about attendance and education and not necessarily like, hey man, you can't explain what gay is. Like, listen, if you can show somebody a fallopian tube in 8th grade, or, you know, a somewhat not erect penis, you know, in health class, I think you can talk about sexual orientation and stuff like that. I think it's fine. And, you know, I'm smarter than most of those people, so I've said so. Let it be known that I have said so. So the reason they're actually in trouble, though, and this is why it's interesting, because prosecutors never claimed the parents knew that their son was planning on going on a killing spree. However, they argued the Crumbleys ignored signs that their son was seriously troubled and bought him a powerful Sig Sauer 9mm handgun as an early Christmas present. They never told counselors about the gun they gifted their child when they were called to a meeting at the school the day of the shooting, not even when they were shown drawings the teen made. The images featured a pistol resembling the Sig Sauer, alongside a figure with bullet wounds and phrases like blood everywhere and, quote, help me, the thoughts won't stop. And they actually go on to say that they thought he was just a depressed teenager. He had, you know, his grandmother had passed away or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, first of all, even a depressed teenager, like, why would you buy him a Sig Sauer? Like, you're buying him a 9mm handgun. Like, even a depressed teenager is at the very least a danger to himself. Like, what the hell were you thinking? Like, I wish he just took himself out instead of taking out other people. Like, I talk about that all the time. Like, the people that kill them, like, these teenagers that are killing themselves because they're being bullied that badly, like, those are the ones that really should go take other people out. Apparently, that's not the case here. Like, it's not like there's this whole pattern of bullying and abuse, and he went and just beat up the jock that used to shove his face in the toilet. Like, I'd be a lot more sympathetic to that situation, like, good or bad. Like, I'd be a lot more sympathetic. And YouTube, if you're listening, because you love to strike down everything that I say against your community standards, which are complete shit, by the way, and completely arbitrarily assigned if you watch anything else on YouTube, I am not condoning in any way, shape, or form violence. I'm saying the stuff that I understand about teenage violence. I don't like the fact that people that are bullied to the point of suicide take themselves out without exacting something, you know, on their way out the door, which, whatever. Like, you can argue with that all you want. I'm not advocating violence in any way, shape, or form. And I wish the initial violence would be curbed and stopped, because I also think the parents, and the reason I bring this up, because I believe the parents of bullies in school should also be held culpable. And why do I think that? Because it is your job, if you decide that you think the world honestly needs more of you, and you can't do the bare minimum of making it a decent member of society, then you have not done your job. And since we can't fire you from being a parent, although that would be absolutely fantastic, although I guess in some ways we can, but honestly, pulling a kid out of a bad, poorly, you know, guided family and then shoving them into, like, the system is probably not going to do much for them anyway. Like, just, I don't know why people don't understand this. Like, don't have kids if you can't have kids. Like, don't. If you don't know what you're doing, stop doing it. Like, I know they make the joke, like, you even need a license to drive a car, but everybody can have a kid. Like, please stop. Like, nobody's listening to this show that needs to hear it, but, like, please stop having kids if you're incapable of raising good humans. All we're doing is seeing this incredible decline in society and morals and values and just basic human decency, and that is because all these parents are absolutely awful at raising their kids. And I know that because I see it. I see it all the time. I see the kids that are raised properly because I see the way they behave. I see the way they speak. I see the way they carry themselves. I see the way they function in society. I can point out a bad parent after 3 seconds of seeing a child. It's just super easy. And the fact that nobody else apparently can or wants to is complete horseshit. Like, it should really be the standard. But it should be the standard when your kid does something horrific like this, that it is your responsibility. If an underage child is doing these horrific things, it was your job to make them not that way. Even if there's something medically or mentally wrong with the child, it's still your job to seek help and get that child fixed, because that's part of our social contract. Don't unleash your wild pit bull into my party. Like, don't do that. That's exactly what these people are doing. Now, unfortunately, what's going to happen, and I don't know when, and I hope it's not soon, but people are going to start, like, suing other parents because their kids they got their spot on the football team, or they got into their college, or, that kind of stuff. Like, just wait for that kind of stuff. But I think we should probably be able to limit this to where it's an actual physical problem that the child is causing that results back to the parents. Maybe it'll make parents take a good look. Like, I hope to God there are parents right now that saw that and are like, I cannot believe I just bought my son a shotgun. He's been acting a little weird. Like, even that sense of a pause, I think, would be worthwhile. And I feel bad for these parents if they truly didn't know, but it sounds like a whole lot of stupid going on there, and maybe a few years in jail, maybe they won't ever not know again, and maybe they can see those warning signs. Maybe they can even turn it into a positive, and maybe, like, start a counseling program for other parents that just didn't know what to do or don't know what to do. Like, these are all options, and I just don't feel like they're going to take the high road on this one and do the right thing, because if you raise a mass murderer, and not one that's, like, completely psychotic either. Like, by all accounts, he's, he might be a little sociopath, but, like, who isn't these days, right? I mean, anyway, I'm tired of talking. I did want to say something about the Arizona abortion ban from the pre-Civil War thing before Arizona was even a state, because there's a lot of misinformation going on around about that. But, like, I'm just going to have to save it for another time. I already hear my breathing. It already sounds bad and labored, and everything's just turning to garbage anyway. So I'm going to put on some music, and we'll see if we can make this day a little bit better for everyone involved, myself included, and then we'll carry on with the rest of the box. How'd that be?